Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our May Development Roundtable. We are excited today to give a little preview, a sneak peek, if you will, of some of the technology that the Growth Management Department, because I still forget what the entire name of the new department is. And we are excited to welcome their technology team that's going to give us a preview of that this morning. So I will be watching the chat window. So if you do have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat window. And I'm sure throughout the presentation, there'll be opportunities. You are all able to unmute or show your video, not show your video. So if they say something or you have a question, additional question about something, feel free to unmute yourself to ask that question. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Sean Byers to give a little intro to what this technology is, why they're implementing it, and then introduce the team that's going to do the presentation today.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, this is a wonderful piece of software that the city is going to be using over the next, well, hopefully forever. But it's really a tool to allow the public and users to have true access to the city's land development codes, zoning maps, future land use maps, and a whole variety of other property information for all the parcels in the city. And it's kind of like I look at it is it's got the potential to really empower our residents to know more about their property and what they can do with it. And as we go through this presentation, I think everyone will see the wonderful benefits of the software and what it has the ability to do for our residents. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our team with Gridix. And we've got Melissa Kircher and Max Zabala, and they're going to give us a very interesting demonstration of the software and its capabilities. So I'll just turn it over to them.
Thanks so much, Sean. I appreciate all of you having us here. And as Sean said, we'll be doing just a brief demo. I'm really going to just turn it over to Max to run through that. Again, please do send in questions as you have them, and we'll be happy to go through those at the end.
Awesome. So thank you and good morning, everyone. And thank you for joining us this morning. We are really excited to show you these applications to you all that the City of Winter Haven has really been doing an extra effort to making this available out there. So first of all, let me share my screen. And just to make sure that we have the best experience, I am going to turn off my camera. So just so you see me before, just to make sure that I'm using all the available bandwidth. So, okay. So once again, my name is Max Zavala. I am the co-founder of Gridix. The 1.5 second elevator pitch is I'm an architect and urban planner. And Gridix was really born out of as a planner, as a consultant, as a user of zoning information. It was really born out of the frustration of sometimes having really hard time finding the right information to make decisions about how the world is, the city that I would be planning, how it should be built, and what tools will actually assist everybody in the real estate world to really make the best decisions to build better cities. So that's why the origins. We are a technology company based out down in Miami, Florida. So this is a Florida company, and we have several cities now as customers, and Winter Haven is one of the latest ones. So this is now specific about the platform. So one of the things that we do is we do incorporate all of the public data that is available, property records, parcel shapes, land use districts, everything, and we incorporate all in our system. At the core of Gridix, we have a patented system that is able to gather all of that information, especially zoning regulations, and then calculate each individual parcel and define the maximum development potential. That means height, square footage, footprints, amount of dwelling units, etc. And that's what essentially we incorporated, and that's available for every parcel in here in the city. So I'm definitely gonna ask Sean Delero to maybe there's probably gonna be links created on the website shown directly. But first of all, let me show you how you can actually get from whatever, if you for whatever reason don't remember where this come in. All of our applications are web-based. So as soon as you gather any of in any browser, you can go to map.gridx.com. This is actually going to bring you to where all of our cities are available. So essentially, just explore here on the right-hand side to Florida, and click on Winter Haven, and that's where how you're going to come arrive to this landing page where all this information is. And again, there are going to be links directly from the city website to these sites. So I'm just gonna show you a couple of different things in here. I definitely want to be respectful of your time. As you can imagine, as the founder, I can talk about this application for days. So I'll try to be succinct in here. As you can see, first of all, the whole map is fully interactive. It's actually a 3D mapping system where you can zoom in, zoom out, of course, visualize the area as in a map as it is like here, or on the bottom here, right-hand side, you can change to an aerial if that's is more understandable to see. Or you can also, if you do prefer to switch to a more standard 2D view, you can do that as well here with the buttons down here. So 2D to 3D. And this is true with everything around the application. Then I'm also gonna guide you up here where it says these three icons, active icons that we have up here. We have properties, we have layers, we have filters. Let me just do first layers. So as you open this up, you're gonna see there's several folders, and you can turn on all the individual layers. So for example, because we're essentially born in zoning, so this is the main element in here. So you can activate all the zoning districts. And you can also just select a few. You don't have to turn them all at once. So you're really just looking at something in particular, let's say all of the R zones in a particular map, you can visualize that as well. We, as I mentioned, we also are loading a lot of valuable information that may have an impact directly in zoning or also just information. So here you take a look at here on all the layers. You have some of the particular overlays that are active within the system. Some of the planned developments areas, you can turn those on and they will be highlighted. And again, you can only select one or two if needed. We have transit routes. We have use buffers and environmental. So anybody here in the call that has been going through the zoning code, all of these will probably ring a bell on relevance in there. And of course, the future land use is also active in here. Now, something that is interesting in this, as I said, this is really a tool. So please do feel free to make a free account. And when you do create a free account in the system, as you log in here on the top right, is essentially going to ask you to sign in and create a new account. So it's free. And the advantage is that it allows you to do certain things. Like, for example, that map that I was showing you of all the residential zones, you can actually save these as templates. And then you can reactivate those at any moment at your disposal. So they become user specific at that moment. So for example, here I can turn on all the overlays or the different zones. I have several in here. And of course you can manage those templates up here. Okay, so let me just reset that. And then let's actually go now to filters. So this one is one of the most useful tools here in the system. It allows you to really search within all the database built in here. We can really spend days in here, so I'm just going to touch on a couple of this. For example, our attributes, if you're looking for parcels that are between 5,000 and 20,000 square feet, you can fit those in, and it will start essentially finding those parcels available here within the city. Each one of these orange circles really are visualizing cluster of results. You can click in any of them, and as you click on them, they're going to approach the area. And as you get close enough, you will actually see the parcels being highlighted. You can continue adding elements. Like, for example, if you're really just looking at corner lots for a particular reason, they actually get two highlighted like that. And you can do as many combinations that will actually be relevant. Like, for example, let's see, R3. So now you're looking at any parcel that is between 5,000, 20,000 that is on a corner that is on the R3 zone, and they will be highlighted right there. As I said, there's a lot that we can talk in here. So just very briefly show you, we have lot attributes, dimensions, etc. of the parcel. Proximity, we do have a large amount of points of interest. It is an autocomplete. So as you start typing, it is going to highlight different elements. And once you select one of those, you can actually then control with certain areas. So you can actually say radiuses. And of course, in this case, I was not really sure which one I was getting. But there you go. So essentially, I'm looking at radiuses of there. So proximity. Opportunity zones, that's actually self-explanatory. That's opportunity zones specific for Polk County in this case. So in areas that you have the zoning and you also have overlays, so you can do one over the other or combinations. Ownership, again, is an autocomplete. If you have a particular owner that you're looking for, it will find it. Streets and development potential. Very briefly here, and let me maybe reset this so we have back. This is part of our calculated data. So if you're looking, for example, somewhere that would allow you to build, let's say, I need to build at least 20,000 square feet of building. It is going to find you what is definitely allowed as a default or by right, if you will, from the zoning code. It will actually find those available in there. Another advantage of once again, having a free account is that the same as the layers, you can save these preset filters and make new, so something that you can recover at some point later on. Now, let me actually go to one of these results and let's click on a parcel, because that's one of the next interesting thing. You can click on any parcel, and once you do click on a parcel, you're gonna see a whole wealth of information that comes up. So this is actually why I did this on the last, the properties up here. So once you click in there, you will get a street view of where it is. You will know what the zoning is. And if you hover over, it's going to give you a description of the site. And you will see these links. And this is actually going to be the next moment, because we also digitize all of the text of the code and make it searchable within the system. So all of this actually refers to the specific sections. You have allowed uses. You can hover over each one of those and it will actually visualize that. It will tell you some of the overlays that are applicable for this particular site. And it will give you some general information about the calculated values. So lot coverage, height, maximum buildable area, general setbacks at the ground floor. So it gives you all that information on the spot. So if you're really looking for some basic information to make a decision or make an interpretation, this is actually where you're going to be getting that. That's us here at the zoning tab. On the property details, if you switch that, now we're visualizing all of the public data that is available. So the address, the parcel ID or the folio, the description, the owner, tax information, etc. And this third tab is actually, if you just know the parcel, but you don't know the zonings or the overlays that apply, here actually displays all of those. So you can actually say, oh, this one is in R2, is within the central core, is also within the transit buffer, etc. So you can actually know what is applicable for this particular site in there. Last within this one, you can see this link up here. You can share those properties. So if you find something that is interesting, do click on this icon, copy this, it will copy to your clipboard, and you can email it, text it, anything like that. Okay, so of course, you can also search up here via address. Again, it's an autocomplete address system. It works actually for both addresses and folios, so you can also search properties that way up here. Okay. The next element, let me actually point you up here where we have these three icons. We have text, map, and check. The text is what I was mentioning just a minute ago. When you click on text, you are taken to the digitized version of the code of the city. So this is actually a fully navigatable, and you can actually navigate it via just directly here on the right hand side, or you can just click at the different chapters and navigate within each of the system. You can of course search. We do have a very simple search, or you can make a more complex search with all types of combinations. And we also allow you, once again, since you will be making a free account, there's also some advantages. For example, even the open account will allow you to share links. So if you find something interested in here, you can copy it and send it over. You can of course print it. So this is actually fairly standard for this type of systems. But this is something unique for our system. Again, once you have a free account, you can make your own bookmarks, and you can organize them in as many folders as you need. So this allows for multiple things. One is if there's frequently areas that you want to reference, you can actually go in here, and it will actually take you to those references right there. You can add notes to each one of those if you need it. So this is interesting, something that we need to review, etc. And of course, you can share as well. So you can share bookmarks, or you can even share whole folders. So again, you're working on a particular project, you found something interesting in the code, you created a folder for that project, you can share that within your colleagues and whoever you're working with that project, and everybody will get the same links. So this is actually the text component. And if I let's go back here for a second for the map, once again, this is whenever you are selecting a particular property up here in zoning, this has these links right here. So these links right there will actually take you directly to the sections that are referring there. So the uses, anything in particular will actually take you right there directly. Okay, last but definitely not least, our third tab is called our zone check. Sometimes you just want something very fast. So one response that is coming in to make a really fast decision, or somebody asks you a question about it. Again, this is really just a search you can use by autocomplete in here. Once you select a particular property, it's actually, of course, I happen to hit on a PUD, but you will have the same type of responses. You get a quick map, you get a link here to the parcel ID. If you do click in here, it will take you to the bigger site. The zoning, of course, gets displayed, and all the same information that you saw on the main tab is there. Something to keep in mind, and this is why the QR code is here. All of our sites are actually mobile ready. You can actually load them on your mobile phone. There are certain actions that may be more taxing on your phone. Like, for example, if you do want to turn on all of the layers of the zones and districts, it might take a little time. But anything in between absolutely works. Search for a parcel, navigate through it, search on the text of the code. All of that is fully dynamic. So I wanted to keep this short. As I said, I can talk for this. I could take the rest of your week if needed. So I wanted to maybe stop there, see if there's any questions in particular. John, do you think I missed something? Please let me know, and we can touch those. Anything else.
Well, Max, thank you. I think you gave the 50-cent tour of it for sure. But I would certainly encourage everyone to get in and play with it, and look up properties and just explore its functions.
And Sean, this is by going to this website, we could get into this now and start playing with it.
Yes, you can actually do this right now. It's live at this moment.
Fantastic. So the challenge is to all of you to go in and see what questions you have. Whenever you're doing a website development, you want to see if you can break it or not. So Max, that's the challenge, right, to everybody?
Absolutely. And and we do have ways for you to contact us if needed. So for, of course, questions about the zoning in particular, of course, should always go back to the city. But up here on the top right, if you do have something, I mean, you can log in or you can't see the layers, we do have this contact us button up here. Once again, it's on the top or here on the top right. It will essentially send us an email, send us a text message, and we'll respond fairly fast. So again, if you created a free account and you're not able to log in, things of that nature, things about the application, definitely let us know, and we'll be able to help you really fast.
So Max, there was one question, and you answered it on the written code side, but is there a way to print the map side in a easy way? If you're using the map and you're pulling up stuff, is there a way to get, besides screenshotting it and things of that nature?
That's interesting. We have not developed that at this moment. So yes, the screenshot will be something that you can do at this moment. But that's interesting. That's something that we can take a look and incorporate, because yeah, essentially once you create a template, in theory, we should be able to create that for you. Yeah, we can look into that and see if we can make that available.
And Sean, there's a question in chat about whether you know whether the county is looking into anything. Of course, when you pull up the city of Winter Haven limits, it's that normal kindergartner drew the city limits type of thing. So you have all these holes in there. So I'm not familiar if the county is looking into something similar to this.
I'm not aware that they are. In fact, I've asked our consultants if they've approached the county or vice versa, and I don't believe that's occurred.
Yeah, no, we've actually been very aggressive on reaching out to every municipality, every county. We have some counties interested. We're actually implementing plaster county in California on their side, and we're also fairly close to closing a deal with Orange County, but not Polk County at this moment. Then again, please navigate the Winter Haven if you think this is something valuable. We're definitely not shy. So if you tell us who to contact, we will. Oh yeah, they will be hearing for us.
I remember when we were going through the M-Course process, the roadway network for the multi-use corridors of regional economic significance that just got canceled by the legislature. But as a part of that, we looked at comparisons on the code of the 9 counties that were included in that. And Polk County certainly had one of the more sophisticated codes, which of course lends itself to flexibility, but also into more of a need for understanding what's all involved in that. And a tool like this is just amazing to being able to, frankly, answer a lot of questions that I'm sure the hope of Sean's department is this, they can direct people to this to find their own answers to start with, because you can get so much information from this, but even just understanding the nuances of the different zoning codes and things of that nature.
Absolutely. And I guess something worth mentioning, as we did mention at the beginning, one of the main reasons why we founded Gridix and we built it up is also sometimes the speed of how data gets updated. Is wrong. So we've been working with Sean quite a lot on this, and our commitment is to make amendments available as soon as available. We're hoping to have very, very fast elements and modifications. And so both on the text component and actually mapping on the rezoning. So we're hoping to never be more than 48 hours or at the worst 72 hours behind any changes that have been made public.
And I can vouch for that. We had some code changes go through on April 26th, and they were working on them the next day.
Yep.
And I see that they're reflected in our demonstration. So that's fantastic speed for getting the information out.
So to the participants that are on the call today, we've got a variety of industries, from construction to realtors to land use attorneys to architects. Are there any questions for them while you've got the developers on the call today? And then of course, once you start working on it, but feel free to either unmute yourself or drop it in the chat. All right. Well, look at that, Max. Your presentation was that good. I think people are raring to
Thanks.
go in there and play around with it for sure. So Sean, I know there has been a lot of movement. Is there any other updates that you wanted to give to the crew on the call today?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got several items that we've been working on for the last, I'm going to say 3 months or so, since I think we last met. And I'll just go down my list. We did recently approve changes to the city's RE, R1, R2 zoning districts. These changes included revising the minimum lot size to make them small, to make the minimum requirements smaller, to address setback regulations, to better match market trends that we're seeing throughout the last few years. One of our main goals is to try to get our conventional zoning districts to better accommodate development and reduce our need for PUDs. PUDs have many great traits, but one of their big negatives is any slight modification requires it to go back through the entire hearing process. So we're hoping that we can kind of streamline that a little bit. Site plans, we're still reviewing numerous site plans. We've got 7 single-family subdivisions under review. They contain several hundred lots. So the single-family market's still remaining hot throughout the city. We are reviewing one 30-unit multifamily project that's out on Record Highway and Avenue O. And we've got a site plan in for the Old Vigoro site. We're reviewing plans to develop building pads on the site for office, retail, and restaurant uses. So there seems to be some activity starting to move on that property now. And then my last item I want to touch on is we are beginning work on the updating the city's comprehensive plan. The 2025 plan is nearing its end of life. And so we're beginning work on the 2035 comprehensive plan. So over the next, I'm going to say 8 months or so, we're going to be pulling together revisions and starting to hold public hearings, probably more towards the fall of the year, but there could be a few sooner than that. But to kind of give you a highlight of where we're at with it, we're looking to make this more of an evolutionary revision to the comp plan instead of a complete rewrite. We did a fairly comprehensive rewrite back in 2011 and feel that it's not needed to go into that level of revision at this go around. A lot of what we're going to be looking into for land uses, we're going to certainly review densities within residential district categories. And we're also going to be focusing more on mixed use. That still is a very direction that a lot of development's going. And also with the market changing, we need to have more flexibility in our commercial areas. I would say we're probably over allocated in commercial land uses today compared to what the market demands are. So we need to open that up for some other land use opportunities. And then finally, we'll likely be looking at affordable housing within the comp plan. That's certainly a significant issue in the city right now, and we'd be looking at in the comp plan for policies to make it more easier to develop affordable housing within the city from the regulatory side of it. So that's kind of some of the things on the agenda for the planning division over the next 8 to 12 months. So anyone has any questions, they can just feel free to send me an email or give me a call, and I'd be happy to go through any of these.
So you're going to be busy, then, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Thank you, Sean, for that update. And certainly every 2 weeks, every commission meeting, there's more and more that's getting approved and moving on, which is exciting, is nerve-wracking, kind of all around when it comes to that. And one thing I shared on, I think, a social on Monday, even just outside the city limits, across from Balmoral on Highway 27, a mixed use development. I want to say it's 120 acres, might even be more than that. 17-acre lake, commercial, of course, on the 27 corridor, and then housing that goes beyond that. And of course, that doesn't necessarily hit our municipal radar because it's in Haines City, but it's a stone's throw away from Lucerne Park Road. And it certainly will impact, because why wouldn't they want to come into Winter Haven to eat, play, go to school, all those types of things. And so, it's things like that that creates this need to look on what's going on in the area. And I know that the city has been fortunate enough to get Congressman Soto's proposal for some work on Lucerne Park Road. We'll kind of see where that goes under the capital projects outlay on the federal level. But the city was very proactive in getting those projects in front of Congressman Soto. So we'll see where that goes. But Highway 27 isn't going to get any less congested. Let's just put it that way, as it moves forward. So, Bruce, I see you're on the call. I'm not sure if you're listening, but I wanted to give you an opportunity from our Winter Haven Economic Development Council, if you wanted to give any shout outs or anything along those lines, as you are ominously in a foggy mountain scene in the background.
Yes.
But yeah, it's good to see your face, friend. Give us
Thanks.
any sort of update you're allowed to give.
Yeah. So, well, it's interesting. There's a lot of kind of new investment being contemplated right now by some different businesses, but it's not even that I can't tell you what they are. It's that I'm not all that confident that some of these developers know what they're doing. And so it's interesting. There are certainly some really strong developers that have direction and are solid performers. And then there's others that are just trying to kind of chase the momentum, but they're not really sure how to get started. So we're dealing with a really interesting mix of skills and capacities right now, it's keeping us on our toes, and it causes us, puts us in unique opportunities to work with the city, where sometimes you have to have pre-meetings prior to meetings in order to kind of set the tone for the desire, capacity, so on and so forth. And sometimes it's not just about skill, it's about financial capacity. So, we'll see where that goes. I think coming out of this pandemic, at some level, I say coming out, there's a bit of a frenzy in the market. But some of these projects are real and are very valuable, and will be valuable to the city. But, not much to share at this point that I can really say publicly, except just the overall context and tone of activity is a little different than it has been in the past. And that's neither good nor bad. It's just a little bit different. And it may portend that that there's a huge explosion of investment about to occur, or that perhaps some of these really nifty ideas will fizzle and fail. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah. Thanks for the opportunity.
It's good. Yeah, exactly. I'm sure you have a lot of initial conversations, and as you can say, some of those initial conversations don't come back for 3, 4, 5 years, depending on the market trajectory or what their particular project is. So just like Sean mentioned, the Vigoro site, gosh, Bruce, we were talking about some initial movement on that site several years ago, when of course they put the sign up because they were getting ready to go to some conference, the IEDC or whatever it was, and put the sign up to start talking about it. And that was several years ago. So these things take time, especially things that are a shift or a movement.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And I think that one of the things that's really important to understand is, for all the best ideas that are out there, typically those with the idea or the desire don't actually already own the property.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you still need a willing buyer and a willing seller to move forward with a transaction prior to being able to move these projects forward. And we have some willing buyers and sellers in the marketplace, but they're not always aligned along the same property itself. So that's one of the challenges that we deal with, and we are constantly trying to bridge gaps and overcome some of the issues at those very, very early stages. So we have the pleasure of working very closely with the city on some of these matters, and Sean kind of hit the nail on the head with some of his comments about where the city's going and what it needs to focus on. And we love being able to have that relationship where the legwork gets done, usually in anticipation of the market needing performance. And that's a really neat place to be. We don't have to kind of claim credit after the fact, or kind of look at projects and say, when, but for, if we had only, or if this or that. We're in a really nice spot right now with a city that's terrifically supportive of seeing new development occur, and very willing and able to look at new development in a bigger picture about what the entire community needs, rather than just what an individual investor thinks will work.
Right. And very thoughtful in the way, I mean, if you listen to the commission meetings, they're really thoughtful in the way that they're looking at some of these projects and asking the hard questions, the questions that they know their constituents would be asking if they were up there, from the planning commission perspective, as well as the full commission itself. So, you know, the forward momentum is moving. If you read the New York Times this weekend, or the Ledger, I think, did a follow-up, you know, our MSA, which is Polk County itself, is tied for #2 in terms of growth from 19 to 20. According to this article, Austin, Texas being the leader. So we're still viewed that way. This will probably even just send more leads, whether they're valid or not, to Bruce and the city in terms of inquiries into the area. But the headline is still continued growth, and then of course ways to manage with that growth. There was a lot of discussion yesterday. I was at the Florida Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors meeting about labor issues, and certainly those acute labor issues we're having right now, but even more long-term labor issues once we get past, you know, some of the pandemic effects of the labor issues. Looking at labor issues, you know, with Bruce's recruiting certain businesses to come here, what are those skill sets that are needed, and some of those long-term changes. And then, of course, another area that Winter Haven's involved in is supply chain, and how supply chains have been impacted by this event, but really impacted in a way that it's highlighting the weaknesses and the areas that need to be shored up, and those sorts of things. So a lot of focus statewide on that. So I want to thank everybody for getting on the call today. This is recorded, so if you want to go back and watch anything that Max showed us today, you will be able to do so. And I'll send that out to everybody. And then, of course, if you have any questions, or you find something that's not working appropriately, be sure you are our quality assurance team, if you will, the external quality assurance team for Sean and his crew as they've been going through this. And we really appreciate you coming on to get this demonstration today, to Max and your team for working with this. This, I think, will be a game changer. And certainly, I think for Heather and Sean on the call today, will hopefully reduce some of the initial phone calls that they get in terms of how to interpret the code, or what can happen on a site. So really want to thank everyone for being on the call. And Sean, I'll give you last word. Anything else you want the crew to know?
No, I think that's all for today. Again, I'm just going to reiterate for Gridix, please use it. You know, we're kind of in the, I'm going to call it a soft unveiling of it right now. It is live, but as we go through the coming weeks, we'll start to publicize its availability more, including links on the website. But we still want to make sure that we expose any potential glitches in the software or its accuracy before we really start pushing it.
Very good. All right, team, thanks so much. We really appreciate you being here today, and have a wonderful Wednesday.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.